You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day, we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Monday, July 8th. 2019. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story of the day is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Monday. The first thing to know is stocks drop as Fed rate cuts expectations cool. The strong U.S. employment report released last Friday continues to make itself felt in global equity markets. U.S. futures pointed to a lower open after a negative close in Asia, and while European stocks also slipped in morning trade. The creation of 224,000 jobs in the U.S. forced markets to lower their expectations for aggressive policy easing by the Federal Reserve, effectively ending hopes of a half-point reduction at the July 30-31 meeting. Fed Chairman Jeremy Powell is due to testify Wednesday and Thursday to congressional committees in appearances that will likely shed light on his interpretation of the employment report. Markets price in a quarter-point reduction to interest rates at the end of the month. The second thing to know today is Deutsche Bank cuts 18,000 jobs in a massive overhaul. Deutsche Bank announced on Sunday that it would cut 18,000 jobs around the world in a 7.4 billion euro, which is $8.3 billion overhaul that will shrink its global footprint by around a quarter. The bank plans to scrap its global equities business and will also scale down its much larger fixed income activities. The lender also plans to set up a new capital release unit to wind down some 74 billion euros, which is $83.1 billion, in risk-weighted assets. Deutsche shares rose as much as 2.5% in early trade before reversing later to trade down 0.5%. Boeing, the third thing to know today is Boeing is under pressure after losing a $6 billion Saudi order. Shares in Boeing fell by more than 1% in pre-market trade Monday after Saudi Arabia's Flyia deal canceled a provisional order for 30 Boeing 737 MAX jets, valued at $5.9 billion at list prices. The Saudi budget airline had indicated it was reconsidering the purchase after 2 fatal crashes of the 737 MAX model. it has now opted to switch its fleet planes from Boeing to rival Airbus. The loss of the order is the latest setback for Boeing, whose 737 MAX has been grounded pending updates to ensure its safety. The Federal Aviation Association has said it will only lift the prohibition when we deem it safe to do so. The fourth thing to note today is WeWork is to raise up to $4 billion in debt ahead of the IPO. WeWork is looking to raise $3 billion to $4 billion in debt before it goes public, according to sources cited by Reuters. Money-losing WeWork has faced questions about the sustainability of its business model, which is based on short-term revenue agreements and long-term loan liabilities. A substantial debt offering could allow it to present a more secure funding base before it pitches itself to potential investors in a planned initial public offering. And the fifth thing to note today is the dollar surges against the Turkish lira after a move from the central bank. Although the dollar dipped against major rivals on Monday, it surged against the Turkish lira after the president of Turkey removed the central bank governor during the weekend. President Erdogan reportedly made the move after the central bank governor repeatedly refused his demands for rate cuts. His decision revived concerns about the safety of the lira, given his previous pressure on the central bank to cut interest rates, despite an annual inflation rate that was still over 15% in June. Our second story today is from investing.com as well. What to watch in commodities, winners and losers in the second half. After taking a knock last year, raw materials had a mixed first half, with the gauge of spot prices climbing about 7%, even as the U.S.-China trade war rumbled on and macroeconomic data pointed to a slowdown. Crude rose as OPEC and Russia pressed on with output curbs. Iron ore took off after a supply hit, and gold had an upswing. Bad weather has roiled major crops. As the second half gets underway in earnest, What to Watch offers a guide to prospects through the year end for main commodities including oil, gas, gold, iron, and copper. Outlooks for wheat, corn, and soybeans are also weighed, plus ship fuel, as new rules on lower sulfur content are set to kick in. Some of the main drivers in the months to come will carry over from the first half, especially the trade dust-up between Washington and Beijing. That prolonged fight could now bleed into currency policy. Central bank easing, including potential rate cuts from the Federal Reserve, will also be a significant theme, and there will be key testimony this week from Chairman Jeremy Powell. U.S.-Iranian tensions are likely to escalate too, so what's in store? And this article goes on to talk about all the commodities you can even think about thinking about. And if you want to read that article, surf on over to theoptionsinsider.com. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Monday, July 8th, 2019, your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Trade smart and have a great day.
The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.